Hello, sweet sisters. I am jumping on earlier today in hopes that I can catch some of my other sisters from around the world. I'm always sensitive to the time differences, so let's see. It is going to be a gray day all day, so I can't wait for the sun today because I usually try to show you all the sun. Hello, Zena. Good to see you, dear. So I was thinking about you all today. I am getting ready to go on a 4-mile hike. Good morning. And so why do I do that? So one of the things that I've really learned this year, and I'm sure many of you have, is that our health is an asset. Our health is an asset. What's so interesting is that, we list out our house as an asset and we list out the money in our bank account as an asset, but we're not inclined to think about things like our health as an asset. And that's one thing this year certainly taught me. I am watching the challenges of healthcare systems from around the world, and it made me realize even more that, wow, this physical vessel that we have been blessed with, blessings, Barbara, look at you. I love the way your positive spirit is coming in this morning. Hello, Tammy. This physical vessel that we have been gifted with is a very precious asset, and do we care for it? Barbara from the UK. Love my sisters from all over the world. Good morning from Pennsylvania. Hello, Esther. So do we value our bodies like an asset? So I don't know about you sisters, but I've had a little bit of a love-hate relationship with my body. I have recovered eating disorder. I fought bulimia for 20 years. I am doing very well, but this has been an ongoing battle with me. So I really wasn't very good friends with my body for a while. Enjoy your hike. I'm not going on a 4-mile hike, but I'm going on a walk. Good job, Sharon. There was a long time where I could not do these long hikes. So that was, I remember being there. Part of what I was going to mention to all of you is the fact that I've been at war with my body. Can anyone relate to that? Hello, Anne. I didn't like being short, and I didn't like being stocky, and on it goes. And now I look back to pictures of me when I was younger as a teenager, and I'm thinking, dear heavens, if I look like that now, I would be like, woohoo! But the reason I bring this up is because this is something that many of us have struggled with. It's not an easy subject to talk about, which is why I'm bringing it up. I've learned to love myself. Even when it's a few extra pounds, even when it's a wrinkle, I've learned to love myself. And I've learned to have a relationship with my body because the body is a vehicle in which for us to do our work. Good morning, Jackie. Our body is a vehicle in which to do our work. And once I began to realize that our body is an instrument from the divine. It's imagine the divine packing us up and saying, okay, it's time for you to go, time for you to be born, and here's the things that are going to happen. And for a while, I didn't like the fact that I was a short woman. I didn't like the fact that I was a woman. Life would have been easier as a man. I mean, any number of things. I wish I could hear better, see better. So it took me a while to get out of this. I bring this up, though, is to remind you all to stay active and take care of this vessel that we have, because it's not the vessel we have. Funny how we look back and think, wow, I was skinny. Isn't that the truth, Cindy? Oh, my heavens. If I could go back to my little 16-year-old self, I would be going rock star. I'd be loving it. But back then, you could even see me standing behind other people because I did not feel comfortable in my own skin. So now that I view it as an instrument to do the work I've been called to do, each one of us actually, this vessel that we're in is to do the work that we do. And so now, I mentioned to all of you that I lost over 100 pounds 15 years ago. And part of the reason I did that was to set a good example for my daughter. That part worked. But it also taught me that the better I took care of the vessel, the more connected I was to the work that I was here to do. I see thumbs and hearts, so you're all resonating with that today. So I jumped on early because I wanted to simply encourage us all to take better care of our vessel. Terry, I know exactly what you're talking about. I've been there. So I'm proud of you for still fighting, dear. And I want you to know that there is a possibility for complete healing. Complete 100% healing. I did not know that was possible, but it is. So don't buy into some of the things that have happened in the, I need a new vessel, COVID made me gain weight. Leandra said, me too, sister. That's why do you think I'm walking? We all simply had too much downtime and too much time to munch. Used to weigh myself every day and exercise all the time. You know, I don't weigh myself every day. Even when I go to the doctors, I can't associate with a number. So that's something that I have to do. Nurses will be like, what do you mean you can't look at the number? I'm like, don't tell me the number. I don't need a scale to tell me whether I'm in alignment with my body or not. I know that all too well. The same way that I never needed people to question what I was eating. You know, like, do you really want to eat that? Boy, that's a lot of food on your plate. Or good for you, or any number of commentary from people who, I know, Terry, I'm praying, sending healing your way. I don't need anybody else I don't need anybody else to be able to associate that with me. And so that's part of why I'm out there. I find that I am more aligned when I spend time out in nature. That's why I'm going to go on the hike, even though it's cold here today. Menopause taught me much about not having control of the weight. Absolutely. And Cindy, what's so interesting, I've been in perimenopause since I was 35. I was like, what? Don't you think I'd be done? I'm now a glorious 52. Don't you think I'd be done by now? You lost 90 pounds 30 years ago. Okay. All right. Good for you, Pat. But when I've talked to the doctors, they're like, well, the earlier you start perimenopause, the longer it goes. And I'm like, okay, so I am going to have a conversation with the divine, because that's not fair. That's not fair. But I wanted to jump on this morning before I went on the hike and before I got too caught up in other things, because our vessel is a precious gift. And what I find myself is when I spend time in nature, I'm more connected. When I do the exercise, or even I'm just walking. So please understand, I'm not talking about major stuff, just keeping our body moving, okay, just moving. I'm even finding myself doing stretching and everything here at home because I just simply need the body to move, and that's going to help usher us into this next. It is easy to put on but hard to drop off. Isn't that the truth, Lisa? I tell you what, I can look at a cookie and it appears. In fact, there's been many a times in my life that I've looked at a cookie or a donut and simply thought to myself, you know, if I would simply tape this to my fanny, it would save us a lot of trouble because that's exactly where it's going. Oh, it's fun to keep a sense of humor about it. So, Pat, that's what I'm back on the road getting myself and my health aligned as well. What the issue is the slow erosion of health. I know it's cold in New Hampshire, Debbie, I get you. Maybe find the way for the garage. I know I have a stationary bike that I work on as well. Cindy, I'm glad you got a laugh out of that, because honest to goodness, I've thought that many times, just as chocolate was going into my mouth, right? Just tape it to my fanny. So I wanted to jump on just to remind us all what a beautiful vessel we have. So now I drink a lot of green juice, a lot of green vegetable juice. I'm a big fan of vegetable juicing. I find that it assists the nervous system, and it assists the nervous system as we're downloading messages. I'm glad you all like that. As I'm downloading messages and as I'm in tune with what's happening in the world. That's what our vessel is a conductor. It's a conductor of energy. And very important when we think about the fact that it's not just a vessel for us to move around in, it's a conductor of energy. And the more I drink green juice, I do wheatgrass shots every day. Wheatgrass, if you haven't checked that out, is one of my favorites. It's not easy to get used to, but it is pretty powerful for our bodies. When we realize that our bodies are a vessel, they're a conductor for it's like people knocking, hello, hello, hello. You know, when our divine team is trying to knock on our window and tune into us and give us signs and say, this way, not this way, hello. You know, my mother told me that when I was in my teenager, I used to talk about how my angels would walked out and fell on the ice. I understand that, Laura. Stay in the house to do the steps. I get that. My mother used to tell me that I would talk about how I had angels tap me on the shoulder and tell me which way to go. I did not remember that, so I forgot that. The older we get, the more we forget those things. And as the older we get, it no longer is a tap on the shoulder. It's more like a smack up the head. I've had many an esoteric 2x4s whack me upside the head. So I get that. And every once in a while, I'm like, okay, I need a bigger billboard. You know, it's kind of like when you have to wear reading glasses. God, I need a bigger sign now. Okay, so it's a little thicker. A bigger sign. Too funny. So I'm bringing all this up because I wanted to remind us how important it is. Cindy, I'm glad I'm making you laugh today. How important it is to look at our body as a vessel. And the reason it's a vessel is, you know, I learned to become very grateful. Hello, Celia. Me here, many here too, girl. I gotcha. You know, when we think about our bodies as a vessel, we sometimes lose sight of being grateful for the small things. So being that I wear 2 hearing aids, I'm very grateful for the gift of sight, because sight is how I get through the world. That's how I'm able to process things. I've mentioned to you that's why this mask issue right now is so difficult for me. But have us be grateful for some of the simplest of things, our ability to see and to hear and to touch. Retired 5 days ago. Good for you, Kathy. Bundle up and go for a walk. Walk like a penguin. Waddle, waddle, waddle. I'm with you, sister. The reason the smallest of gifts are important is because I learned that the more vegetable juice that I drink, the more I pay attention to the vitamins and making sure this vessel of mine is in tune. The more I drink water, okay, because 70% of our body is made up of water. The more I do those things, the clearer the messages are that come to me. And that's enabled me to do my work. And so that is something really, really important for us to remember, is that our bodies are a vessel. I wear hearing aids and masks. It makes life, it does, Valerie, I kid you not, I know. And then if you go to take off the mask, you risk whisking your hearing aids. The other day I whisked it right across the parking lot, and there I am scrambling, trying to get my hearing aid before somebody runs over it. And I'm thinking, these are expensive. Stay back, everyone. Oh my heavens. You have to have some laughter at some point because it's just comical. I mean, and wearing my glasses and my hearing aids and a mask, I'm a walking disaster. Walking disaster. So, what I wanted to bring up though is that the more you take care of the vessel, I'm with you, Francis. The more you take care of the vessel, Cindy's going to come over to my house and we're going to have lots of laughs this afternoon. The more you take care of the vessel, the more you're in tune with the messages. Okay, that's what I'm finding, and that's what I wanted to encourage you all to get your bodies moving today. Ask yourself, how much have you eaten that is generated from light? Okay, generated from light, meaning it grew in the light and it took in nourishment from the sun. That's one of those ways. That's one of those ways that we stay making sure that are we eating things that are nourishing to us. Celia's gonna come over with us. You come on over, girl. I'm ready. So have we, all right, so where was I? I was talking about, dang it, where did I go? They call that brain fog. You want to come too. All right, so I'm seeing you all very happy here today. But the more you take care of the vessel, I see all the hugs. You're feeling for me now that you see me crawling around in the parking lot looking for my hearing aids that have flung off from my mask. It really is right pitiful. I'll show you all a picture of myself when I was 10. I had the biggest glasses and the big hearing aids, and I was pitiful then too. And what I tell people is I really have never outgrown that. E.T. things grow in the light. There you go. I've never outgrown my little awkward 10-year-old self. I still am happiest with a stack of books and all of that. I'll be sure to, the CB light, love that. So I will be sure to show that picture of that to you all. So I wanted to remind you today, early on a Saturday morning here in the U.S., good morning, Mary, is to look at your body not as the body, but as a vessel to connect with the divine. This is an instrument. This is a finely tuned instrument. We forget that sometimes. I see lots of thumbs up. It's a finely tuned instrument, and Good job, Christina. I'm proud of you for that, because I do believe we're all being asked to understand that our health is an asset. I'm going to be talking tomorrow about how some of our systems are on the brink of failure, and I believe that healthcare is one of those. We're going to see major shifts. But the exciting thing is that when there are major shifts, I see lots of thumbs. You all are feeling for me today, I know. I'm being very vulnerable with you, so you just know that I am an awkward little soul that walks through the world sometimes. Our bodies are a vessel. A nutritionist once said that if you can tell if something is worth eating by how quickly it goes off. Okay, there you go. You all having great advice for each other. That's part of what I love about this group. So I want to end on a little bit more of a serious note, because I wanted you all to just take away some Quebec in the house. Au revoir, au revoir. Jackie, you're killing me. You are making me laugh. I love it. More water today. So I wanted to encourage you to take a little more care and attention to your beautiful vessel. If you are able to move your arm and touch your face, I want you to be thankful for the nerves that go through your arm, and recognize that you're able to do that without even thinking. If you're able to speak, be thankful for the fact that the signals come from the brain to the mouth. And sugar is what I deal with too, Marilyn. That's my issue. I am working on the same thing, sister. What I do find is the green juice is a big help for me with the sugar. I haven't been able to 100% kick it, but the more green juice I drink, the better I am able to stay away from sugar. So where do you do green juice? You can juice it yourself. So look up, I long time ago got started on the Martha Vineyard's 21-day detox, and I felt so much better. There's some local places that do juicing. You also can find fresh pressed juices in your store. So that's what I find, is that I do better with the sugar, Marilyn, when I'm on the juice. So I'm doing well, Pamela, thank you. So today I'm going to go do my hike up the mountains. I'm going to do a 4-mile hike to keep my body and my vessel tuned, keep myself grounded, and also get ready to move my office and do more I'm building a creative lab that I'll be able to do some videos with you all. So last thought, I've been reading this book called The Art of War by Sun Tzu, and it's been so interesting to me that one of the points here is talking a lot about, to see victory, that if everyone can see the victory, then it's probably not an element of excellence. Why am I reading this book? Well, I remember that several leaders have been inspired by this. I also keep going back to a moment that I had when I was a teenager. I'll never forget sitting there in the movie theater watching the movie Red Dawn, and it was a moment of clarity for me when I saw it. It was a story about when another country invaded the U.S., and I remember being so startled then. And then now, as I'm reading The Art of War and I'm looking at all the things that are going around, it just makes me say, And so I'm being very mindful of connecting the dots, and I would encourage you to as well. Should we take the vaccine? That is a very personal choice, Mary. I will not be taking it, but that is a personal choice for each one of us to do our own research about it and to make our personal decisions. It's very, Marilyn, once sugar, you stop, the craving goes away. All right, you're right. And then probably it would help the craving to go away if you don't have cupcakes on the counter. Perhaps, maybe that would be possible. So part of how all this ties together, why do I bring up a movie? Why do I bring up The Art of War? Our lives have changed. Our lives have changed since we've had this COVID. And I genuinely believe that we'll be more in tune with what is not being said if our bodies are more in tune. Our bodies are like a tuning fork, sweet sisters. That's why I wanted to jump on here. As I bump into some people that have not connected the dots in some things, and I'm thinking, why? And I know why. Because some of us have so out of touch about what's not being said. Please remember that whatever we're seeing, a great deceptive tool by the enemy. Yes, it was, Janine. Very clearly. The deceptive tool by the enemy is not giving us information, it's omitting information. It's leaving information out. And so I began to look at news sources from other places around the world, and I talked to people from around the world, and what I'm finding is some of our sisters in other countries, they have more information about what's happening in America than we have. So for right now, my global sisters, know that I am sending you lots of prayers and lots of thoughts. I know that we're all in this battle together. To my sisters here in the U.S., I want to encourage you to take care of your bodily vessel, okay, your tuning, your own personal tuning fork, because we are being asked to be very alert to what is happening around us, okay, being very alert. Lots of distractions, you're right, Esther. Be very alert to the distractions around us. Be very alert to what's happening around us. I have people emailing me tips of whether they're seeing military vehicles around the country. I have people reaching out to me with different thoughts. If any of you have anything you want to reach out to me, it's Kim@KimberlyFaith.com. I'm sending prayers your way, Marilyn. So everybody, please send prayers her way as well. Kathy, it is. It's hard to figure out the truth from fake information. And that's also why I'm having this conversation about our bodies. So you can look up kinesiology. Kinesiology is a way to be able to test yourself out. It's too long for me to get in right here, but maybe I can do that. But it's a way for your body to test out. Other people will use, scripture. You'll ask God. Others will use crystals. Lots of different ways to be able to tune in. But we can't hear the message if our bodies are not tuned in, okay? So that's where so many people think that our spiritual life and our divine guidance is separate from our bodies, and I have found that it is directly linked, that when we're not taking care of our vessels, ask your divine team to guide you. What should I eat? What do I want? Our state is sending troops. Francis, let me know what state you're in, please. Okay, let me know what state you're in. And any of you that are seeing things, I want you to be extra alert. Please send it to me, because I'm having the ability to connect some dots to a larger story. Remember to listen to what is not said. Remember to listen more deeply to anything that whether I may say or others. Bodies tuning for, alert, omitting information. Pat, I'm glad you hear it. You summed it up. That's what I'm doing here. So my divine team is guiding me on whether it's the books I read or the articles, or whether it's something that I see. Francis, that's very important to know. Very important to know, sweet sisters. We are all stronger together, which is why we're connected on vehicles like this, which is also why there's a concerted attempt to make sure we're not connected. Ask yourself, why would people not want us connected? Why would they not want us to have these conversations? What's really going on? What is not being said? And then strengthen that tuning fork of yours so that you hear what needs to be told to you, okay? All right, Becky, thank you. That's what I'm hearing from a lot of people. When you can tune into the way you feel, it's not always yours. You're right, Christina. You're absolutely right. For those of you that are empaths, sometimes you're going to be tuning into other people's feelings, and that takes practice. It takes practice for you to figure out. So number one, you end up having a feeling, and then you're in tune enough to ask yourself, is this my feeling or someone else's? Is this my feeling or someone else's? I live in Camp Bloom, a lot of air training. Okay, so there's a lot going on. I'm hearing from our sisters from all over the country. And so to my global sisters, right now I ask you send us prayers here in the U.S. As well, but I do know things are very intense in the U.S. and there's a lot we're not being told. A lot we're not being told. Because one of the things that the book was showing me is a way to defeat your enemy is to keep them so distracted that they don't notice anything's happening. Isn't that interesting? So Susan, morning from Argentina. Hello, my sweet sister from Argentina. So that's what I wanted to bring up to all of you. Again, are you taking the shot? So Jackie, as I mentioned earlier, the only thing I'm going to say is I will not be taking the shot. That is a personal decision, and I'm going to encourage you all to do as much research about it. It is not simply about the shot. Connect the dots to the larger picture. Connect the dots to the larger picture, everyone. Please. So what happens in life is we get very, very focused by what we see. Think about all the times we see people on their phones, ... and we want to see bigger and bigger. Okay, coming on, trying to say, all right, so how do you know which information is real or conspiracy? Well, that's also coming back to our tuning fork, sweet sisters. Most of us have grown up and we want to know that somebody, Pamela, that's important to know. It's happening all over the country, but it's not being covered on mainstream media. Why? Why? So what's important to know with all of these things is when it comes to trying to figure out truth or not, if number one, the fact that sometimes omitting information is important. Glad you are, Diane, and you're at an important location. So cover that area with prayer. Keep an eye on how you connect up there to Canada. Okay. So let me go back. So sometimes I hear from some of you and you send me emails or you'll send me messages, and I actually pick up the phone and I've called several of you. Okay. I've called several of you. And one of the conversations I had yesterday was with one of our sisters that was in Chicago. I was able to have a conversation with her about what I know about the area, and I was able to give her guidance about what to pray for her area. So what's important for all of us is that if you are connected with me on this Facebook Live, there's a reason. There's a reason. Your soul is nudging you to maybe connect a dot to something or trying to remind you of how important you are, whatever the case might be. We are each in the space that we're in, whether it's in the U.S. or in a different part of the world, because we're being asked to anchor the light, cover our areas in protection, and to become more aware. When we become more aware, then we are stronger. Dawn, I understand that. I will see what I can do to try to give you more research. The thing is that's a lot to wade through. I heard there are camps in Canada. Jackie, I've had at least one eyewitness tell me that is very possible. I listen to OWAN and Newsmax for their non-biases. They are non-biased, but Christy, I do still have a healthy skepticism of that. Do understand that if you were trying to control the information of the people, and you saw that the people were turning away from the mainstream, and they were more was happening with alternative news than was mainstream, then wouldn't you want to come up with an alternative that was somewhere in the middle? So I'm sure there is some good things, please understand. But keep that tuning fork tuned in so you can figure out which pieces are true and which pieces are not. So that's what I'm talking about here, sweet sisters, okay? So remember, I walk a very fine line. I sometimes see some of your comments that say, why are you being so vague? Am I right to take care of my mom with dementia? Absolutely, dear. Taking care of our families is one of the most precious responsibilities that we have at the moment, okay? Teresa, spot on. Spot on. You're exactly right. And then ask why. Why? So please understand, I'm walking a fine line. People say, Kim, why can't you say more? Because I'm trying not to get, I'm not want to be censored. I want to be here to be support to you. So you're going to see me talk about games and toys and things and memories. I'm going to keep a very careful balance between these things because I want to stay in tune with you. I walked over 1,000 steps while listening to you. That is great. Laura, even better, sister. I am loving it. Sally, I am skeptical of all things at the moment, and that's where I think it's going to be important for each of us to begin to tune, not into things that are outside of ourselves, but to tune more into us, into getting this tuning fork strong. Why do you think I walk? Why do you think I drink all the green juice? It's not just to keep my body strong. It's because I know that we're in challenging times. How do I make sure that my channel with the divine is as clear as it can be? Because if we don't, then what happens is the information that's coming our way, it's going to be like, you remember the old days when the internet started and you used to dial up the modem and it would go, you remember that? Beep, beep, beep. When our vessels aren't clear, that's what it sounds like when the divine is trying to say, go this direction, not this direction. It's going, That's a bad imitation. Forgive me for being a bad imitation here. Krista, that is also a tool that's being used to divide us. That's all I can say about that at the moment. Look deeper. Look deeper. So keep your vessel clear. It is going to become more confusing, sweet sisters. But what I want to remind you all is that you are all equipped for this. You are all equipped for this. You've got mail. Marilyn, I just heard that ding in my head about from that movie. That was when it was AOL, right? You've got mail. I research every day. Okay. Deborah, I'm glad. Deborah, so an important point is that when you start researching and you start looking, your soul is going to guide you, okay? Your divine team is going to guide you and nudge you in a certain direction. That's what happens. I have no idea why some of you ended up jumping on here after January 6th. I didn't do those videos for any reason other than to talk to the sisters that I've been talking to for the past year. But my divine team, and evidently your divine team, had other plans, and so I trust that. I trust that. So sweet sisters, that's what I'm going to wrap up with here today. As it's getting chilly, I'm going to have to be sure and be bundled up on my hike. You are equipped for these times. Listen to how your body is giving you messages. For me, I will know something is absolutely true. I may not understand it, but all the hair on my arm raises up. If I run across a piece of information that my divine team is trying to get my attention, I will hear like a ding. I can literally hear a ding. It's like somebody took their fingernail and clicked it on a glass. So that's important. How does your body? I agree too, Deneen. Isn't that funny how larger teams work that way? How does your body tune you in to what they want you to see? And the better we become in taking care of our vessel, the better we'll have a chance to be able to hear those messages. So know that I'm here with you. I'm going to continue on this journey with you. Move your bodies today, sweet sisters, and take care of this gorgeous, beautiful, divine tuning fork that we have all been given. Know that I love you all. I'll tune in tomorrow. Take care.